I think it is about time that we all grabbed a brew and had a talk through some of the absolutely bonkers news that's around the cycling media at the moment. Some of it is way out of touch and incredible. Some of it is quite scary, and some of it is just plain bonkers. I've got a few articles that I want to talk through, which I think I found fairly interesting for various reasons, and I'll share them with you in a sec. And at the end, I thought we'd have a chat about how us as Map Deck Cycle Works is trying to navigate our way through what we think is going to be a crazy 2023 season, share some ideas, and hopefully get your feedback in the comment section down below, see what we think. So we just get stuck in and see what happens. Okay, so this is the first thing that caught my mind as the industry just being completely out of touch at the moment. So this is the article that apparently there was a leak, and this SRAM Eagle Access XX1, top of the range, all singing, all dancing, rear derailleur and shifter set, was put onto Craigslist. Apparently someone got hold of it in exchange for some welding work in Santa Cruz. I don't believe that for a second. I think these guys are taking a leaf out of the Apple Samsung book and accidentally leaking things to the media to try and gauge the reaction. And I like the idea that they're developing things. I'm quite interested in how they're going to direct mount this to the frame. Some interesting stuff in here, but I can't help feeling this is so out of touch with what we are asking for, what we need. Right now, customers coming into Map Deck Cycle Works are asking for, I just want parts to repair what I've got. I'm happy with the bike I've got. I just need like a middle chain ring. I need a shock hardware, or I need a seal for a Fox 36. Or that's what people are asking for right now. And they're frustrated they can't get these bits. They're not interested in a $725 Bluetooth derailleur set at all. I think this is really showing that the industry is kind of out of touch with where it's at. It's obviously had this massive boom through COVID, and now it's been spending its time developing things like this, and that's not where we are as cyclists right now. I don't think so anyway. Please let me know if I'm wrong. The other thing that came out, of course, which you can't have missed, was the Shimano 105 12-speed mechanical got leaked. Really leaked? Apparently this is a brand called KHS who accidentally listed one of their bikes with a mechanical 12-speed group set on it, and then got asked to take it down. And I don't know. I think this is probably purposefully leaked somehow, or there's definitely something going on there. And the thing is, I think it's not what we're asking for. We know we're going to be disappointed with that. We know it's going to come out with an absolutely crazy price tag that's going to make us all go, what the hell? And it's actually quite interesting. I was sort of scrolling through, here you go, this will make you laugh, was scrolling through, and there's an advert here for Shimano 105 R7000 at 50% off. So yeah, I think there's definitely an upgrade coming when we're throwing out these sort of prices. But to be honest, if you're in the market for a group set, get one of those. I'm not excited by this at all, especially, we haven't even talked about prices, but this is just, we always know in our heart of hearts that this is not going to be the bargain 12-speed group set we want. It's going to come out at some crazy price. I'll be so surprised if it doesn't. Okay, this got a bit scary. This is an article about Specialized laying off 8% of its employees in organization adjustment. Now, I don't want to go too much into this because everyone's sort of banging around figures and the Specialized statement, if you like, and there's a few journalists who are trying to speculate and things. But I can't work out whether it's ramped up significantly through COVID, and now these big brands are starting to come back to a more normal level, assuming that sort of COVID hadn't happened, or whether these are legitimate layoffs because of the whole cost of living crisis and everything else. I find it hard to really make sense of these things. I often feel really bad for those people that are losing their jobs, and I hope they find other things. But I kind of feel this is a little bit indicative of some of the, I wouldn't say greed, definitely an element of greed, but definitely over-optimism existed in the cycling industry mid-COVID, where it was like a euphoric, oh my God, we're all going to be riding bikes. There's not going to be no cars on the road, and that didn't transpire at all. Interestingly, I'm just going to go back to that because the GCN show, so happy, is done this very, very oversimplified look on the bike industry in crisis. Now, Ollie did this very, very simplistic look at basically cycling exploded, supply chains got squeezed, now everyone's got too much stock, and hopefully there's going to be some bargains. It's actually significantly more complex than that because of the how you have to pre-order so far in advance for some of your bikes. And what was happening, we had that massive explosion in 2021, and then the bike shops who had to pre-order their 2022 and even now 2023 stock had to do it months and months and months early, and everything got delayed. So 2022 got really massively delayed. 2023 is starting to get delivered early. Also, a lot of terms and conditions got changed, and you had to sort of put in and commit to various minimum levels of commitment and stuff. So there's a lot of quite scary stuff happening out there, where this abundance in stock that everyone got very optimistic about, and now having to take delivery of it when there's not the demand there anymore. So there's an awful lot of bikes shipping to retailers who don't need them, who probably can't afford to pay for them. And we are starting to see that consolidation going on, like the Rutland Cycles thing is all quite interesting. And I think there's some really worried bike shop owners out there at the moment who are really, really quite scared about how they're going to cope with all of this. And I don't think the big brands are being all that sympathetic to the problem, if I'm completely honest. So yeah, have a look through that cycling industry, the GCN stuff. But it was really, he's been way more optimistic than the situation really is. Now, this is an article in Cycling Industry News, and the title is "What Changed Forever When COVID Landed with the Bike Industry." It's dead interesting. Talked about what I've just been talking about. However, the short-lived joy of lockdowns and being able to ride your bike all over, and the cities were taken over by cyclists. E-bikes just exploded, and every bike shop looked like this, with boxes just being shipped out. And now he's talking about how it's all coming back together again. And at the bottom here, I'm just going to scroll down, sort of the sum up, if you like. So it would therefore seem that while the boom is well and truly over, with the cost of living crisis beginning to bite, there is potentially still a place in the retail market for reactive IBDs, that's independent bike dealers, and that the supply chain behind them is still there to support and supply the sector's stand against some increasingly varied competition. Now, the varied competition that we're kind of talking about is a landscape, if you like, that didn't really exist before COVID. One of those things, actually, is e-bike, not just in terms of being used for leisure or even just commuting, but now being used as work. Like the whole e-cargo bike thing has definitely exploded, and we're seeing more and more of that happening, absolutely. Now, I was in Manchester recently, and if you live in a city, I'm pretty sure that you've seen the e-bike and e-scooter thing definitely start to explode and definitely accelerated. What I was really fascinated in, I wish I had a camera with me because it would have been a fascinating YouTube video. But I was in Manchester, where all the takeaway restaurants and stuff are, and hustled around outside the area was loads of people on bikes who obviously work for Deliveroo and various companies, waiting for a job to come in so they could go and deliver their takeaways. But the bikes that they were riding were absolutely fascinating. I think this is the whole new industry that this article was talking about, because they were there with various types of e-bikes, various different qualities, but with loads of weird and wonderful hacks and bodges. And some of them had 2 or 3 e-bike batteries mounted to them, obviously ready for a really hard night working. Had lights and dynamos and panniers and ways to hold all their various bits of takeaways and turn signals. It was I wish I had a camera on me, because it would have been a really fascinating insight as to an industry that just seems to be growing. That whole delivering food and goods and services, if you like, by bike again. And the bikes that are being developed is still a really infant. There's obviously no one that's developed a bike for that yet. And the inventiveness of the people in that industry is being really clever. I'll have to go that down with a camera and see if anyone will talk to me about how they're adapting what the bike industry is supplying to what it is that they actually need. So there's some really, really, really cool stuff, I think, happening. And again, just people commuting to school and work. I think there's some exciting stuff there that the industry hasn't really paid enough attention to. So I like that. Okay. The other bit of news was, it's actually really made me quite sad, and this is really, really quite scary, is Single Track and lots of other people reported. This is Leger ski resort, who they had such little snow, as did many alpine ski resorts, that they gave up on skiing. They just put all the bike mounts back on their ski lifts. The hire shops in the town got all their mountain bikes back out into the shop floor again and started hiring out mountain bikes. And people who were meant to be going on a ski holiday ended up having a mountain bike holiday because the snow conditions were so appalling, and just went, the ski industry in Europe has had a hell of a time. It really, really has. And this is definitely not going to help. And then looked at the Leger webcams today, and it's not an awful lot better. I mean, it's pretty desperate. You would be pretty upset if you were saving up for a ski trip and you were being met with conditions like this. So I think for me, what's interesting is how the ski resort industry, which obviously has so much infrastructure around it with all that travel and transfers and buses and airports and being able to carry massive amounts of luggage, is now really having to adapt to much more cycling, and not just mountain biking either. There's a road bike following, and even gravel bike following, where you can get ski lifts up and go on high altitude tours, and some really interesting stuff, which I think is going to really help the whole mass adaptation of cycling as a leisure pursuit on holidays and things. I feel bad. I mean, some people are predicting that the end of the ski industry by the end of the century, which is terrifying. It really, really is terrifying. But it looks like cycling is probably the sport that's going to start replacing that. So, yeah, I mean, I like skiing. I'm really quite sad about it. But as a cyclist, I'm also quite excited about what ski resorts are potentially going to offer the cyclist of lots of different types in the future. So, okay. What else we got? Yes. So I wanted to I wanted to have a look, because now we've had lots of prime minister changes here in the UK, and I wanted to see where we're at. Are we still being committed to the gear change, a bold vision for cycling set out by our man Boris Johnson? Whether we're still on track for that, because in this document they set out a pretty ambitious plan for trying to roll out cycling. And obviously here in the UK we've had lots of laws passed about giving way to the right of way for pedestrians, cyclists over cars, etc., and almost trying to catch up with Europe. And yeah, we're still on track for this, and we're definitely seeing more and more cycleways open, seeing more bike sheds, all that sort of thing. So I think there is some really interesting stuff happening, and I think the adaptation of cycling as a means of transport is still on the horizon. I don't think we've given up on that. Cycling as a leisure pursuit, I think, is probably going to be pretty static, especially while the prices of what is seen as performance leisure bikes is so crazy. All right, let's have a little chat about if the industry is out of touch, how can we make sure the local bike shop remains relevant? And this is what's been occupying my brain a little bit over Christmas. Is I really feel like what the industry is trying to push out at the moment is not matched by what you guys are saying in the comments of our videos, what our customers are saying when they come in to see us. What we're hearing in the cycling club is not matched. There's a lot of disingenuous sort of statements like, I can't believe they're pushing those sort of prices. I'm not interested in that. Why can't I just get a free hub body for this? Why is it so hard to find a spoke, to fix my fulcrum wheel? That's the sort of the frustrations we're feeling. And yet it feels like everyone's trying to bombard us with aero road bikes with a hole in the seat tube. And like, just seems, how do these two things become so mismatched? And yeah, what's our place in it? So our strategy, if you like, for 2023 is really, really double down on all of this. So service is what we're really trying to concentrate on. Repairs and service. We have invested in some more staff. We're investing in more tools. We are really trying to get skill set up and make sure we're fully equipped to deal with that big range of bikes. We've invested in more into e-bike tooling than ever before. The electric work stands that we can now lift 40 kilogram bikes with and maneuver them around safely in a workshop. Invested in all those Bosch specialist tools for undoing lock rings and electrical testing equipment and that sort of stuff to make sure that we're fully equipped for this new generation of bicycle repair service that we do. And of course, suspension, because we really think that people are going to be servicing their expensive parts of their bikes more than ever before. So really investing into that. Bike fitting and adjustments. It's one of those spaces. I really think there's a gap in the market that we really need to promote. I think a lot of bike fitting now is smoke and mirrors. It's almost being built into a thing that forces someone into, a bike sale that they potentially weren't expecting. You've got to have this handlebar and you've got to have that crank length and you've got to have that. Not really looking at the whole person. And there's some of these bike fits have just been, the prices have been elevated so much as a way to say, well, if you get a bike fit and you buy a bike from us, we'll give it to you for free. And I really want to focus down on just helping people find a comfortable saddle, get the riding position pretty nailed, and be open to that feedback of go out, try it, ride it. Don't just be on a turbo trainer for 5 minutes. I want to make sure that we're fully open. So here's a saddle, go out, ride it, come back to us, give us your feedback. And with that feedback that you've now had a couple of hours riding on it, let's try something else. Let's move on. And also, is it really your bike fit that's the issue? Maybe you talk about other things like your mobility, your flexibility, your posture, that sort of stuff. And I think that's where I really want to push our philosophy this year, I think. Our fitness coaching and classes, I have to say, the fitness side of our business is brilliant at the moment. It's suffered so much through COVID. And I really, really love and appreciate all our loyal members that really stuck in it when we couldn't really meet in person. It really didn't take off last year. One, because we had a massive, the boiler on top of me just leaked and flooded the entire downstairs. It was a pretty hard year. This is the first year we had a really, really good run of our fitness coaching in classes. And the other night we had, it was so busy. We had 78 people in the building all at once. And they were doing a cycling maintenance class. We had a yoga class on upstairs. We had 4 classes down here. The place was absolutely buzzing. It was alive. It was so exciting. And that's fantastic because I really think that a local bike shop, more than anything else, should be like a football club. It should be like a hub where everyone just goes and meets and trains and learns. And that's where we go, is where we sort of gather as a group of cyclists. And I think cycling doesn't really have that in the same way that football or rugby or squash club might have. And I think a bike shop has got a role to provide that sort of clubhouse type feel. And it was brilliant because everyone was just chatting, talking about what they've entered, what races or events they've entered for next year, and what it is that they're particularly working on. And it was just a vibe, and I loved it. And that's what it's all about. The cycling maintenance classes, I think, are for us going to really be important this year. We're working closely with Kendal College and the City and Guilds, also doing some collaborations with sort of various cycling clubs in the area, and actually being asked for more specific training, which we don't mind giving. I think there's a problem with, I got criticised when I first started doing this, to say, Why would you teach someone a skill that you can charge them for? That didn't sit well with my philosophy. I like teaching, and I think if it takes someone to a certain level, there's two things. One, that they can do some of the maintenance themselves, save themselves a little bit of money, but they also start to see the appreciation of when they need to get more professional advice on certain things that will actually save them money. Because, for instance, the suspension is a great example. You open up a set of suspension forks, and okay, there's a certain amount of things you can do. But once you've opened up a set, you understand why you need to get them serviced. Because sports massage and rehab, the sports recovery kennel, which is actually a separate business upstairs, but we work so closely together. They're brilliant. It's such great collaboration. It works so well. People come for training, talk about bikes, we talk about events. We've got proper sports therapists here, all engaged in that conversation. They learn from the cycling. They end up in a niche very much focused towards outdoorsy sports, and it just grows and grows. And we're really, really nurturing that and bringing on new services. And the team upstairs is just growing with their knowledge, experience, and size. They're bringing on new therapists. It's such an exciting thing. And then lastly, the media and content creation. I think 2022 taught me one thing, that actually we have a place in this. We have knowledge, we have experience that an audience, hopefully you guys, are kind of interested in. We don't have to be journalists to voice our opinion and our ideas. We can do it on YouTube. And it's been really interesting to see the comments, your feedback, and what we learn from it as well, by not just being a bike shop, but I wouldn't say we're a media house. We're definitely just, as you know from this podcast, just voicing our ideas. So yeah, I think there's still a lot to come from our media and content creation. It's definitely something that myself and the team here are really enjoying and being inspired by. And the comments that you guys put down there really does inspire us. I can't say that enough, that it's really nice to read that and sort of have that feel like we're not just speaking into the void, that people are actually honestly watching, engaging, and interested, and super, super cool. So yeah, this is this is what it looks like for us in 2023. We've got a lot to do. The MapDeck CycleWorks brand is, we're going to push on with that service. The Strength to Speed brand, which we've opened up, so we're trying to separate our gym business. And I think we've done that on the YouTube channel as well. We used to do fitness stuff on this channel. Now all of our fitness stuff has moved over to the Strength to Speed. So hopefully, if you're into fitness, you can follow us over there, where we have some fantastic long form podcasts on there at the moment, which we've been doing this week. And if you're not into your fitness, that's fine. You can still get like geeky bike chat like this. The sports recovery Kendall collaboration is really totally behind that, because now what we're finding is, with all these restrictions off, events are absolutely flying. More and more people are signing up to sportives and things like that, and we need a bit of help from that. And of course, we have a new business venture this year, the Kendall Yoga Space. The room above my head right now is, we've converted it into a yoga studio. And this sort of ties in with what I was saying about bike fitting. Is, I think as a cyclist, and I was definitely like this, was I know that yoga and Pilates are really, really important, but for me, going to a yoga class was a little bit too intimidating. I was definitely out of place. And when we created yoga here, nearly most of our audience that come are actually men and sports people who appreciate a yoga class and a yoga experience that has the sort of the yoga elements turned down a little bit, and the mobility, core strength sort of elements turned up to a degree. And it's just I want to say a safe space. It's always a safe space, but if you're a cyclist or a mountain biker listening to this, you'll know exactly what I mean. Is, okay, you know that yoga is probably good for you, but somehow you just can't picture yourself in a yoga class. Hopefully what we're doing is having a space where people like myself actually feel pretty cool about going to yoga. So I hope we're going to have a pretty busy 2023. I'm quite inspired by it. I feel like it's going to be tough, but I feel like we've got some really cool stuff to offer our cycling community. And yeah, what do you guys think? Are we on the right tracks or not? Okay, thank you so much for listening to our little Brewside rant. I hope you kind of enjoyed that. Please get stuck in with the comments below. And if it's the first time watching this, then think about hitting that subscribe button. It's all going to help. All right, till the next time.